Good evening, all of you. First, I would like to thank all of the participants for joining this second, I would say, event in this series. Again, I wouldn't say it is series. I thought, there is a lot of issues related to how to plan for PhD. So, last time, couple of weeks back, we planned how to prepare for PhD. So that was a great success, and many participants they attended that particular program, and then we see very good response from across the India from different participants, including LLM students also. And a lot of feedbacks were there, sir. You can plan for research proposal, literature review, and many things, I would say. Altogether, it can be a series of things because PhD consists of, you should have various skill to complete, obviously starting from PhD, thinking about PhD, getting registration. So many things are there in pipeline. So I requested Dr. Deevanshu Shrivastava, please, can you take this particular session? Again, he's very expert in this particular field. So he immediately requested I will be definitely taking. Otherwise, it would have taken some time for this particular session. So let me introduce Dr. Devanshu Srivastava. He is a founding dean at GL Bajaj Institute of Law at the Greater Noida. So again, before that he was working with the GT Goenka University as an associate dean and having more than 12, 13 years of experience. And before that, he also worked with Jagran Lake University and the pioneer. He was a head also at the particular university at Bhopal. So his area of interest is legal research, ADR and IPR. So today he'll be talking about how to prepare research proposal for PhD. Many I have seen faculty student research proposals. Faculty members of when definitely they are in job or LLM student they want to plan. So they are not sure about how to prepare, think about the topic, prepare research proposal, present. So this kind of issues are there in PhD in the program. So with this, in behalf of Law Teachers India, I request you and welcome you, Dr. Devanshu Srivastava, and then request to proceed with the session. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Kalpesh, sir, for that invite. And it's always a pleasure to address the scholars, specifically because I'll be very honest, it wasn't a situation when I and Kalpesh, sir, when we were pursuing our PhD, we were never getting such opportunities. So I'm once again thankful to you and your entire team, the law teachers group that we have, that such mentoring sessions and other things that have been coming on to from time and again to take that thing ahead. So thank you once again for extending that invitation. And thank you once again to all my participants who, as Sir rightly mentioned, this is not a second session of something, but it is just an advancement. There might be few things that might be repeated from the previous session. Do not think that it is a duplicacy of such things to be taken on to. And as I say that in the PhD as well, there are many situations. For example, review of literature is one thing that may be repeating and repeating till the time you're finally completing your thesis. So it's not a duplicacy of something, but it's more of how we are going to see and learn. And I really hope that the next an hour that has been allocated to me, I'll keep it more precise because there are three majors that I'll be covering in my presentation today. If quickly I can come on to a fact that whether my PPT is visible. Um, anyone can help me out with this? Is my
Yes.
PPT visible?
Yes, yes.
And sir, can you see the slides getting changed as well?
Yes, yes, yes.
Perfect, sir. Thank you so much.
You have to move your face to, I think, right side maybe.
Okay,
Corner
let
of
me move
one.
my face to the right. I'll do that, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. No,
No
thank you.
worries. Is it fine now? So you're mute. You're mute.
I suggest you move to opposite of
Okay.
current place. That will be the fine because
Is it
you're
fine now?
again little bit.
Move.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. And a very good evening to each one of you who, and I really must compliment that the first step that you all have taken regarding your PhD journey. Although I have titled it to be Mastering Your PhD to a point from proposal to the final chapters. But the best thing that we are going to take is not about mastering, but also about learning the perspectives. Now, when I'm saying learning, we take it one step at a time. So today or the next few minutes, I will require each one of you to be concentrating towards the fact that how we are going to take it. So in today's journey, we are going to see about how the research proposal for the blueprint of your research journey to be taken on to, the literature review, as was being talked again and again for that particular factor, and then finally, how we should on time complete our thesis or a writing journey. I'll also keep this session open for the for the last couple of minutes for my question and answers. If in case you have your questions, please utilize the chat box for that thing. I guess that would be an easy thing for me also to take it up ahead. Now, the PhD research proposal that we are seeing today is a combination of what we have thought to what it has been implemented. Now, when I talk about a blueprint, I generally talk about the formal document outlining your research project. Now, many a times we as researchers, and specifically when we are at our initial stages, we think that we will do all these things in our research. We come out with a notion that our research is going to be the path-breaking research of what we are going to take it or doing on to. We generally think that this is a research that nobody till date has taken or will be taking on that particular point also. Now, when we come to that, and that thought is absolutely correct, but the difficulty starts coming when we start implementing these thoughts into our reality or into how we are converting our expectations into the timeline or the time frame of it. I'll also try during the course of this next 40-45 minutes that I should not only highlight the issues, but how as a mentor or how just by matter of few years, how I managed to complete my PhD during my timelines. I'll be very honest, yes, it was for me that I also feel I could have completed it 6 months prior. But when it comes to that particular point, when it comes to that particular stage, each 6 months schedule is on a particular point that demonstrates the purpose of our research. And when I'm talking about the purpose, it takes about 3 majors. Number one, to demonstrate the significance of our topic and the finding of those particular topic. Second, very important, is the originality. And third is the feasibility. And when we have a blueprint, we have the purpose, all what is required is the most important thing is the application of it. It requires the admissions of how, like, for example, if our research is a doctrinal or a non-doctrinal, what would be the steps, how those things, how the data would be admitted, how the analysis would be taken on to. If it is a research that requires or that is with the fundings, I'll try to cover few of the funding agencies as well that would help you during your research. And then setting up of milestones. Now, milestones, well, I'll make it clear the purpose of using this terminology out here is very clear. That it is not the milestone that I have achieved. It is a milestones that I have kept in front of me. We all know we go from one place to the other. And in between, we see the milestones on the left-hand side of our roads, generally when we are traveling. It says the particular destination is 25 kilometers away, 20 kilometers away, 15 kilometers away, 5 kilometers away, and finally 0, you have reached your destination. These milestones, even for you as a researcher, is very, very important. And for you, the purpose of how a PhD setup under our Indian perspective works is comes first and foremost with the SRAC, or as generally we call it RDC, we call it DRC, we call it by different names at our places. But that's the first place we generally call the RDC, where our synopsis gets finalized. That's the first step that we take on. Post your coursework exam, when the synopsis gets finalized, from there, each university, whether it's a part-time PhD, it's a full-time PhD, follows a robust curriculum of 6-month report. You can call it by any name that you can fall or under which university you are doing that to, but every 6 months you are acquired to put a report. These 6 months are very crucial. These 6 months are the milestones which a researcher can put that how we are going to do, and the coming slides would be an answer to the same as well. Now, the part 1 of our presentation, I've divided the presentation into 3 parts. The part 1 would be how a proposal is built across. Part 2 would be the literature review. And part 3 would be how to complete your particular things on time, or a chapterization to be done on time when it comes to a thesis writing. Now, the first and foremost thing is how we proceed. So as you can see on your screen, the 4 segments of a proposal. The first and foremost is title. Believe me, my friends, the toughest thing that we each one of us do face is to come out with a concise, precise, and a concrete topic. I'll repeat, to come out with a concise, precise, and a concrete topic. Choosing of title is the same way as we are naming our own child, the Namkaran Samaroh. Exactly how and what it defines with a character, how it defines. I'll draw all the attention. If with your own child or with a child in your family, the first and foremost thing when the child gets born is that according to the horoscope or to something, a particular character is born out of which the person has to put a name to that particular child out of that first character that is generally designed out of the horoscope of that particular child that is born. Similarly, when you are planning to take a research topic, be very clear to define. I was told that the majors here who have joined today are from legal background. I'll cite legal examples more. If somebody is unable to follow it, please use that particular thing so that I'll be also in a equal good situation. That an example is something that I'm making you understand how this proposal or this building block is going on to. Now, when I'm talking about a title, the title is nothing but it has to be a clear, concise indicator of the research topic. Always remember, the theme and topic are 2 different things that we are talking out here. Theme can be, for example, if I want to do something in intellectual property rights. Now, intellectual property rights is a subdomain of law. Always remember before I move ahead that the purpose of pursuing your PhD in law is always that you are having a degree with a nomenclature called as Ph.D, Doctorate of Philosophy in Law. It can be in criminal law, it can be in civil law, it can be in intellectual property rights, it can be in family law, it can be in labor law, and so on and so forth. But the degree of each one of us would still be called as PhD in law. Now, when I'm talking about a PhD in law, this is unlike your master's where LLM was a specialization one. PhD would never be like PhD for Dr. Deevanshu Shrivastava was not a PhD in IPR. The PhD was a PhD in law. This also gives you a leverage that why a person who has attained a PhD in law in coming years, once he has attained a PhD, can guide a student or can guide a research scholar of a different subdomain of law as well. For example, I can guide a research scholar under criminal law also. The purpose here is about how a research is framed and not about the content of the research to be of the same domain. So once the theme is out, you with the theme need to identify the 2 variables. When I'm talking about the 2 variables, one needs to be a dependent variable, the second needs to be an independent variable. And the title should reflect nothing but the relationship between the variables each other. It is how the dependent variable is dependent on the independent variable that confines to be calling as a clear and a concise indicator for your research topic. Once your topic is done, have an abstract. Abstract is nothing but the second step that helps a researcher to identify that what is she or he going to pursue in his or her research. So the proposal that you are writing onto should always come an abstract that what made you take this particular topic and what is the role of this topic. Always remember one thing, when you are selecting a topic, do not select it for 2025. I'll give you an example. So major of my friends who are starting their research journey this year, never choose a topic for 2025. What I mean by this is very clear. I mean that the topic should have a relevance for 2028 or 2029. That is the time when you are submitting your thesis. So be very clear enough, be very wide enough that how those things are there. And during the course, I'll let you know why I'm suggesting this particular thing, so that you shall be out of any a situation of obsoleteness, a situation where you feel that, okay, your research has now been outdated, and so on and so forth. I'll also help you to understand if this situation occurs, how to come out of that pattern and what tweaking is required at that particular moment. The third thing for your proposal is the introduction. Your introduction is very, and this is only I'm talking about the research proposal, not for my research and chapterization right now. Research proposal is a proposal that is generally accepted by the researcher to your departmental research committee, by whichever name it is being called in your particular institution, and how they take it to a new level. And that is how a person reading your research proposal can understand it, that the research scholar who has presented that proposal is able to take it or is able to do a research on a particular topic altogether. Now, very important is identification of the problem statement. Now, when I talk about a problem statement in a research proposal, always remember what would be the origin of it. The origin of it will be two: research gaps. Now, how do we take research gaps into consideration? When I talk about research gaps being brought into consideration, I use two methods. Number one, that, for example, if today I have to research or redo my PhD on the topic on which I did in 2018, this is again 2014 I'm getting registered, 2018 I'm getting my PhD awarded, and this is today 2025. So in 2025, if I want to redo my PhD, again, there were certain gaps that were left in 2018. There were certain developments that were made, and therefore my topic is still an alive topic. So I need to address of what the previous scholars have done in their thesis, have left in their thesis. That can be a very good point for me to proceed. This is just like a passing of baton in a 400-meter relay race. That from one, what has been covered should be left, and what is uncovered should be taking the baton from there and move ahead. And during your own research, always have this habit of mentioning what are you covering and what you are not covering. This serves two purposes. One, what you are covering defines the structure or the territory of your own proposal. And what you are not covering would again be a research gap for future research scholars. So any one of you who is taking a research today, if you have identified a topic for you, search about that particular topic, that whether the researches have been done or not. Where to do that is the biggest question. The best source that the Indian higher education system has developed is Shodhganga. Shodhganga is a repository of the theses completed by various scholars across the country. Private universities, state universities, central universities, deemed to be universities, all together are now mandated by the UGC to upload their theses on that particular point. With the proper search engines, an advanced search option, you can search what all topics have already been covered on your own particular topic itself. And once you have identified the research gaps, please have a habit of framing smart research questions. What would be the smart research questions? We'll see that in the coming slides. The second portion for drafting is and stands with a literature review. Now, when I'm talking about a literature review, what I mean is the brief review showing the awareness in the field. When I'm talking about the awareness in the field, there are two portions, the first and the second one. When the first thing is being taken is what all topics have already been done. Now, as a researcher, if I'm taking a particular topic, where shall, and I'll also, if everybody permits to that particular point, I'll do one thing. I will add some AI tools that would be helpful for you people in framing these literature reviews and so on and so forth. Now, These are not an unethical practice that I'm trying to help you with. These are very much ethical, and these are time-taking. Now, as a researcher, these things were not possible for me when I was pursuing my PhD. But today, the research scholars who are under my supervision, I do ask them that please have a check over the same and use the technology to your advantage by taking. Now, it is merely of how to gather your data. I'm not asking the AI tools to be writing for your own behalf. No, that is unethical, that is wrong. I'm only asking that an AI tools can be utilized for the time saving, for the help that a research scholar can be taking on. So this was the first portion of what all has been studied, what all has been done. The second is what is the left out portion or the research gap. As a research scholar, whenever you are studying with a literature review, number one and very important is that there might be a book, there might be a journal, there might be an article, there might be an essay, there might be a working paper, there might be a policy paper, so on and so forth. When it comes to the book, the entire book can be on one topic, which is your topic of domain. Now, be very clear. It is not like, okay, this is my topic and I found a book on this. Believe me, your topic has already been covered if you found an entire book written on your own topic. This is not our graduation and post-graduation studies that, okay, I've got a one particular topic and I've got an entire book on this. This is your PhD where you are expected. So the best topics would be where your topic has not been covered in entirety by a single book or couple of books or multiple of books. And that gives you a leverage. So what all books, articles, journals, or essays or working papers have been seen on your own particular topic, when you have read it, always place them in a reverse chronological order. I'll repeat, always place them in a reverse chronological order in a uniform citation method. It can be anything that you want to choose, or until and unless your university prescribes you for the same. There are universities in the country, both the national law universities or the state law universities, that are prescribing a particular format of citation. In that particular case, the research scholar is not at liberty. He or she is bound to choose the similar pattern or format which has been given by the host university. In cases where no such prerequisite is required, the researcher is at liberty to choose any format of citation which is there, number one. But when you come to the methodology portion, have this habit of mentioning it clearly and categorically that the research scholar is using for the purpose of citation during this particular thesis or scholar format, blue book format. And if you're mentioning blue book, please have this habit of mentioning blue book, which edition. Or for the indigenous method, the ILI format. And if you want, you can use the traditional ones like APA, MLA, and so on, Chicago, Harvard style, whatever you feel like on that particular point. So once the literature review is done, you have to mention the methodology, which includes the research approach by which the scholar. Now you are at liberty. You are at liberty to use either the doctrinal method or the empirical or the non-doctrinal method. And nowadays, with more of interdisciplinary studies being brought onto, it is a mixed approach of doctrinal and non-doctrinal. My advice to the young scholars who are planning to adopt the mixed methodology should mention this, that what portion would be the doctrinal study and what would be a non-doctrinal or empirical study. And when you are mentioning that in the conclusion part of it, the last chapter, please have this habit to conclude that both the doctrinal and the non-doctrinal method used by the research scholar has come out to a common solution. It should not be that your doctrinal study is giving you a different solution and your non-doctrinal thing is giving a different solution. Please try to avoid that particular situation. Do have this habit when it is a non-doctrinal thing. What would be the data collection methods that you are doing? The primary, the secondary. And it's just not merely mentioning that I'm using the primary sources, I'm using the secondary sources. Be it a detailed one, where you need to tell that for the purpose of this particular study, what were the primary sources, what are the secondary sources, and so on. From methodology, the best and the most vulnerable and the most important component for a research scholar comes is the timeline. And as I said, the timeline, many a times your topic itself reflects the timeline. For example, we study for past 5 years, the last census or a decade study or a relevancy of this post the emergency or post the liberalization, privatization, and the globalization module, post the new criminal amendment laws. Here, in all these three situations that I gave as an example, the timeline is very clear. And this timeline is for the topic for you to study on. Also, the timeline means the realistic schedule for the research stage. Where you're doing a doctrinal, what would be the timeline of your doctrinal? If you're doing a non-doctrinal, be very clear. You cannot spend major part of your thing, like for example, it's a 3.5 years journey. You can't spend 2.5 years merely on data collection and then just next 6 months for data analysis. Please avoid it. It should be realistic in nature, realistic to what a research scholar. And what is a foolproof formula? There isn't any one size suit all formula. What might be a research timeline for Dr. Devanshu might not be for somebody else out here, and vice versa as well. And lastly is how we are bringing the concept. And I've been always on an advocate of this particular fact, that be ethical, not to just prove yourself to outer world, but be ethical to your own self. Be ethical that you would not be using the AI tools for writing of your paper. You'll not be using AI or other large language modules for the unethical work for your papers. It is you as a research scholar who needs to be very clear and ethical to your own self. If you're clear, you're honest to your own self. I have always been an advocate of God help those who help themselves. And when we are helping ourselves without being prejudiced or without being someone that who is seen, who is not seen, we are on a right path to our proposal. Now, once this exercise is done, we will be coming out with a standout proposal because it has a clarity. Clarity, when I say use clear language and avoid unnecessary jargons. I have always been of a point that when you are presenting your research proposal, don't become a Shashi Tharoor. Don't become the Hindu as a newspaper. Be on a very clear. I am not putting in a point that we can be using high level vocab languages is what I'm meant by using the two examples that I was mentioning on. Be very clear. I'll tell you why. Always remember, write from your proposal to your final thesis. You are not writing those for for your own self. You are writing it for the audience. And these audience for you is untraceable. As I said, you're not writing or you're not working on a topic which is for 2025, but it is most probably for 2028 and 29 onwards. And that is why whosoever shall read or whosoever comes into the perspective of reading these particular things shall be very clear what you really want to. You remember I started off a proposal that you thought of and then how it has been expressed. The gap between the two shall be minimum. The gap between what you thought and what you are expressing should exactly be the same. And it is not what you thought is known to the world, but what you have expressed is known to the world. So be very clear, be very, when it comes to the choice of words, please have this habit of reading the statement that you have written. Don't use unnecessary synonymous language. Many a times researchers do that for the paraphrasing or other things of it. Please try to avoid such things. Second, feasible. Feasible means realistic goals within the time frame and the resources. You might be seeing many of the researchers today having a comparative analysis with that of US, UK, China, and so on and so forth. Now, that doesn't mean that the researcher needs to travel to. With the advancement of technology now, like the best debate is about the data privacy laws in our country. As soon as India was about to enact a data privacy or the DPDP Act, it was a huge thing that it has been nothing but adopted from the European Union's data privacy rules. It is against and how the United States data privacy things have been taken on. The originality and other things have to be taken. And that is what is the core or crux of your research, the originality. How are you going to articulate novelty of your own research is very, very, very. And then the last but most important thing, never think that what you are writing is merely a writing thing and you need not to. Have this habit of discussion. I really appreciate this particular group, the way sir creates it with the mentoring sessions, the group that is created. Please don't keep that group where only Kalpeshwar sir has to post. Have this habit of developing a peer amongst your own self. Have this habit of discussing what you are doing in your PhD. And believe me when I say this will be of great help. I would also like to highlight the role of supervisor. Now, many a times, whether it's a state university, it's a public university, it's a private university, it's a national university, we generally feel, okay, I have been allocated with the research supervisor. A week prior to my presentation at the SRAC or the 6 months input, I'll contact my research supervisor. We always complain that supervisor doesn't help us. And we'll send, he or she would approve or make certain points, give it to me. I'll make the changes again. Your research is not a week prior to the submissions. Please remember that. Have this habit when you are coming and presenting in your 6 months SRAC or other such things. Be in continuous touch with your supervisor. Keep him or her updated about your supervisor. Nowadays, you can utilize Google Docs or track on applications where the changes that you are presenting to your supervisor. Be in constant touch. And I'm emphasizing on the term constant for that matter. So supervisor has been allocated to you for a particular purpose. I'll tell you one very important fact as well. The day when I became the supervisor, and by God's grace and every such thing now, 7 such PhDs have been taken under me. Now, one point which I'm really very thankful to is it is not about how much I would be giving a time. It's also about a PhD is not merely of a research scholar. And I'll tell you one very important fact. The day you will submit your PhD, you will find there will be only 2 names on your PhD. One would be your own name, and the second would be your name of your supervisor. So when the 2 important names are involved, have this habit that your research work should also be between these 2 people, not just one person that is you as a research scholar. So discuss your drafts with your supervisor at length. Be after, I understand we as teachers might not be having time, but it's not like you're giving me an entire chapter or entire 3 chapters altogether and one. Have this habit of discussing small things. I am with full confidence can tell you the research supervisors can take out time if it is small, small things. And he'll be more than happy or she will be more than happy to have a research scholar who is discussing more and more with the supervisor and similarly with your peers as well. Why I said peers? By discussion with peers, you can also come to know whether the topic that you are going to take has been already taken by somebody in a different university. Because today I know in my department or in Greater Noida, nobody is taking that with my access to other places as well. In entire Greater Noida, nobody has taken this particular topic. But what about Gurgaon? What about Bhopal? What about Banaras? What about Allahabad? Sorry, Prayagraj? People, or what about the entire of South? Somebody might also have taken that particular topic. What would be the difference between the two? Or what if you are stuck at a point which was an easy cakewalk for your peer? He or she can help you with that particular point. So have this habit of discussing at what stages you are on. Now, very important is the next step of how we are going for an understanding a literature review. A literature review or a review of literature is exactly how we are going to take it. Now, always remembers literature review is not a summary. No, not at all. Never. It is a critical analysis of what? I'll tell you in very simple words what is a literature review. Anything that you read for your own topic, book, article, journal article, working paper, policy, anything is a literature that you reviewed for your own topic. That is where the term literature review comes. I was asked, and I'm generally asked with this question, sir, why do you feel that if a student or a research scholar, excuse me, has mentioned a literature review, what is the need of bibliography at the end? It is just the repetition of it. No, not at all. There's a huge difference between a bibliography and a literature review. Bibliography includes even if it was not reviewed or it was not relevant to your topic, but you came across with that particular point. For example, dictionary. Dictionary for us in legal domain would not be a literature review. It would always be a part of bibliography. And this is the major that, yes, I did refer to the bibliography. I did refer to the dictionary during my framing of my thesis and my chapters. But I cannot cite a dictionary as my literature review. Second very important thing, context mapping. Context of what? Context of your own thesis. Context of which, on the proposal on which you are building your thesis. Situate your research. Contextually situation is a very, very important and this starts right from proposal stage till your final open defense viva stage. At an open defense, they would be asking you, okay, you took a topic in 2025. Today is 2028, 2028, 2029. You are there for you. I don't feel so. As an examiner, I don't feel so there is a relevancy of this particular topic. You should be. That's why, you remember I initiated that particular point, that why choosing of topic is important, not for today, but the time when you are going to submit that. And then again, the repetition of gap identification, both for you and from where you are taking. You can only take what has not been taken. Always remember. I'll repeat, you can only take what has not been taken. If it has already been taken, you cannot take it. Similarly, when you have taken, you cannot eat full. You'll have to define it what is not going to be. This is called as limitation of your study. And what you have left for somebody else in future to take it from ahead. The passing of baton. How do we find the right source is very important. This can only be there if you're defining the scope of it. When I said defining, so let me give you an example. This was the way that I've taken on to. And this particular portion, the shaded one that I've drawn on your screen, was unutilized or not utilized for me. Therefore, the scope shall be this particular area for my research. So I have created a boundary that would only include the unshaded portion where I have written scope. So this is for my study. This is not for my study. Which is not for my study is available to my future researchers to take it up. Very important in today's time is the usage of databases. Which is the important database? Again, that depends upon which study you are taking on. Today, you can identify journals, Scopus website, or other such things. You can use your LinkedIn to identify who are the scholars in your particular domain. For example, IPR, I can name 5 faculty members. For example, sports law, I can name 5 faculty members. For example, it's ADR, I can name 5 faculty members. And the reason of following them is their writings. Is from there you'll understand, okay, they are either the members in a journal in relation to ADR, IPR, sports law. And from there, you get a source. That's how you are identifying through the databases where to dive onto. And this is called as reference chaining. Chaining, one related to the other. What is reference chaining? For example, IPR is my domain. I got one book. For example, my topic is online infringement of trademarks. Okay. And I got a book by Professor Jackson on that, which relevantly mentioned about 2 chapters in relation to the online infringement of trademarks. From the 2 chapters that was relevant to my study, I found in the footnotes that Professor Jackson has mentioned Professor Merkel, has mentioned Professor Sumer, and Professor Bashir on the same points. The 3 things in the references of the chapter which is relevant to my study has led me from 1, I have been led to another chain of 2 and 3, from where I'll be leading on to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So all are linked in one particular chain. So one leads to the other, 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 to the other. And this is what is referenced by reference chaining. So when you read one book, one article, please have an emphasis on what were the references for them. And this is how, I'll tell you, for me, somebody asked me, what is the definition of research? And I've always said, research is nothing but knowing the unknown from the known. Research is nothing but knowing the unknown from the known. And that is what is reference all about. So I'll give you another example. I want to go from A place to B place, and I do not know where the B place is. I'll take my phone out and I'll type on Google Maps. Or, for example, my phone is discharged. I took my bike, I went out. Somebody told me it is right next to this place. My first thing, I'll reach to that place because that place is known to me. From there, I'll again ask. That somebody says take a left from the first circle. I'll take the left, I'll move, I'll again ask. What I'm doing, I'm knowing what is unknown to me from the knowns that I have with me. How do I organize my literature review? This is very important. I have always said you, reverse chronological is the domain. Reverse chronological means the latest being at the first, the not so latest being at the last, but all in a proper order. A reverse chronological order means 2025, 2024, 23, 22, 21. Why is that so? 2 things. Number 1, you are updated. So if it is a 25 study, a 26 study, or a 27 study, you are updated as a research scholar. You have taken the latest development that has happened on it. And when you have built your literature review, it is based upon the not so latest one at the last and the latest one at the top. It can be divided into thematic ways, chronologically, methodologically, and theoretically, in which reverse chronological comes into place. And then there is also one of a very good thing which recently a couple of my research scholars did, and we did it as a part of experiment which was widely accepted by majors in our country and in my university, and they were applauded for that. One of them happened to reach to the gold medal award for the research scholar as well. What we did, in spite, and we did follow the reverse chronological order, we also thematically divided our literature review. Thematically means chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5. In our own literature review, we have mentioned chapter wise which things have been leading to that particular. This was a new concept. This was a new way to take it up, but it was widely accepted. Similarly, you can take it methodologically. Like for when I specifically in a mixed study, when it was a doctrinal study, I took it 1, 2, 3, 4. For the non-doctrinal study, I took it 1, 2, 3, 4. I mentioned that as my literature reviews subheading doctrinal study, literature reviews. Subheading 2, non-doctrinal study, the literature. Similarly, theoretically wise, how my theories are getting advanced onto. So every theory comes with a timeline. So you have divided your literature review timeline wise, and that is also one of the ways. Now, 9 specific ways or 9 steps that completes your literature review is exactly on how we are going to take this up. First, pick a broad topic. We did that. Find the way in. It's not about a big topic that I have taken. I have to get inside that big room. And then I have to analyze the debates. This is very important. The third point. Analyzing the debates means that the debates, arguments, perspective has to be taken. You might be biased towards one perspective, but do not just be biased. A rule, first rule as researcher, stop being biased. Stop being biased means as a researcher, you already have hypothesis for your present research work and you're already decided the conclusion of it. No, please don't do that. Don't have a biased approach and then proceed on to your research journey. That would affect your research. Fourth, take a detailed notes of what the debates have been all about. Make a chart, divide your page into 4 parts. This is in favor, this is in against, this is in favor, this is against, this is in favor, this is in against. And then when you are made with your notes, narrow your focus. Narrowing your focus means I thought that this has an implication of this, it would have a positive implication, but during an unbiased debate analysis, I came to know there are only 7 pointers in favor and 10 pointers in being a critical analysis. As a researcher, this is a hint to you that there might be a different approach, and that's where your biasness balloon bursts and you are taking that thing. And once that is done, when you've narrowed it down, filter your sources. Filter what and filter it into 3 perspectives. Number 1, what must be read, shall, mandatorily. What may be read, we can read, we can even not read it. And third and very important, what won't be read. And this is how, and then you proceed on to. And then comes the last stage. Before I move the steps that I have divided, literature review, first 3 steps. This is the first year post your synopsis. Once your synopsis, your title is finalized, this is the first year where these 3 topics have to be taken on. Second year is about mastering your literature review till the filtering of it. And third and final year consists of the 3 last segments. Snowball sampling. What is a snowball sampling? You have always seen a snowball. When you roll a snowball down, this comes into. Now, use the references list to the key sources to identify additional relevant literature. So what happens when you push down a small snowball down the hill on a snow field? By the time it reaches the ground, it becomes a big snowball. And that, as I was telling you for the literature review, how to make a chain out of it. This exactly is a snowball sampling method that we are using. Very important, ask new questions. This is very, very important. Based on what? Based upon your snowball sampling, you'll be able to ask new questions. And finally, have an effective writing. Now, when I say effective writing, clear, critical argument that synthesizes the key themes and debates. Avoid simply summarizing. As I said again and again, literature review is not about summarizing your literature. No, it is not. It is about synthesizing your literature that you have studied. And as I said, the best method for a literature review is to have a funnel approach. How do we go for a funnel approach? This shape. From a broader perspective to a narrow perspective, the downside arrow has to be taken on. The point that I'm talking about is about the foundational concepts, themes in the literature, and the research gap. Not everything that you thought, you remember the research proposal, you thought, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. But after and finally your literature review is completed, your third year, you are very clear, okay, I can only focus on 2 topics and I'll leave the next 3 topics. The next 3 that you are leaving would be a research gap for coming researchers. Do I need to be chronological versus thematic? Dispute would always be there. Adopt what is there for you. I'll give you a very clear instruction today. If it is a doctrinal thing, go for a chronological order. If it is more of non-doctrinal, empirical, a fieldwork, a thematic, in general applications would work. I'm saying that as a general rule. with exceptions are there. But I'll again help you. If it's a doctrinal thing, go for a chronological approach. If it is a non-doctrinal study, go for a thematic. I know this question would be popping up in your mind. Sir, what if in case of a mixed study? What should I do? Depends. As I said, even if it's a mixed study, the part would be doctrinal, would always involve chronological. The part which is non-doctrinal would involve a thematic study. Very important is knowing when to stop. It is not like that for the 3 years you are only going to research and do a literature review and literature review and literature review. No, you need to stop. You'll have to be very clear what is the timeline that you're taking on. And this is how you write a critical review. Synthesize it. Critic, as I said, divide your chart. Okay, this is it talking in favor, comes on the left hand side of my chart. This talks critical, comes on the right side of my chart. And how we are saying what is missing. You'll have to research what is missing in the previous research is already done. And once you have identified it, connect it with your research question. You remember in the second slide I told, your research question needs to be very smart. Smart how? It should not repeat what has already been done, but only capitalize what was left early. Now, coming to my last stage is a thesis writing marathon, which I guess is, as I said, follow the SRACs, take it as your milestones to take on. Don't take it, kitne words. This question has been very, every time comes to me when I get a new research scholar, sir, kitne words hone chahiye? How many words should be there? How many pages should my thesis be an ideal thesis on? What are the basic hurdles? And believe me, when I talk about the hurdles, it is you only who is creating a hurdle. Procrastination. I'll do it. हो जाएगा. अभी तो SRAC 6 months दूर है. Writer's block. Block when I say about is the mental block that I've created for myself. Like you remember I told you an obsolete topic. I'll give you an example here. So one of my very dear friends was pursuing his PhD. 2016 he got enrolled, and his topic was in relation to the Reorganization Act of Jammu and Kashmir. Sudden thing, before I guess it was his 4th or 5th SRAC, one day the Home Minister comes to the Parliament and says, now we are reorganizing. There is a new act called as Jammu Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019 coming into place. He was shocked. He bursted into tears. A very elderly person for me. Bursted into tears, called me and said, Devanshu, everything is over. My PhD is now, I'm at my 2.5 years of it, and I have to start afresh. No, it doesn't mean on that point. I suggested him one very important fact at that time. I said, no, who said? You can shape up with that particular thing by identifying and analyzing, because your thesis is not for 2019. It would be in 2020 when you will be submitting. You'll get, and this will be the first thesis in the country that gets a chance to analyze what are the demerits or what are the challenges under the Jammu Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019. And it happened that his entire chapter was then confined to this particular thing. What is the critical situation? The only difference was that earlier it was without a legislation he had to criticize Article 35A of the Constitution, and the post was the Reorganization Act that he was challenging on. So be very clear how these strategies would be taken on that particular point itself. The thesis structure blueprint, as I said, looks like, and the places that I've been on to, generally chapter 1 is your introduction. Chapter 2, few places, literature review is chapter 2. Few places, literature review is the part of chapter 1 itself. So it depends upon, and I'll again urge, I'll again request, it is please follow the mechanism that your university or your host university is giving on to. I am using the term host university because I know many places the research centers are the colleges affiliated from the state university or something like that. But whatever is a research handbook of your particular institution, please adhere to the same. Then comes, and that's the reason I've not mentioned which chapter what, but these are the basics that needs to be there. So these 6 are the key ingredients of a report writing as well. How do we start and critically, what are the strategies for consistent progress? We write early and often. When I say write early and often, write from your acceptance of your proposal, start writing it. The day the topic or the synopsis has been defined, tentative chapterization has been defined, start writing. Analyze, okay, this is what I've studied, is helpful for me in chapter number 4. Mark it then and there. Write it that this is my chapter 4, chapter page number this to this would be helpful for me in chapter 4. Mention that there. This would be helpful in chapter 3, although you're still working on chapter 1 and chapter 2. But then you should not forget, you should make a reference over the same. And that is what I meant upon write early and write often. Outline everything. Create detailed chapter plans. When I say create detailed chapter plans, it's always easy for us from big to small. It's very easy, but never the opposite. It is very tough from a small thing to a bigger thing. I'll say when you have more in your plate, you can reduce it. But it would be a tougher thing for you to have less in your plate and then increase it. I'll say set realistic goals, and I'll help you today how to take that thing. In the next, I guess, slide would be talking the same on it. Daily world counts and the section completions. As I said, milestones, your 6 months SRAC. So make it a target. SRA, the synopsis is finalized, your topic is finalized. By the first SRAC, I'll complete my chapter 1. By the second SRAC, I'll complete chapter 2 and move to chapter 3, and one of my publications would be done. By my third SRAC, I'll complete chapter 3. By my fourth SRAC, I'll complete my chapter 4 and would try to submit my second research paper. By fifth SRAC, I'll complete my chapter 5, and my only thing that would be left would be the conclusion, and both the minimum requirement of 2 publications and 2 presentations shall be completed by fifth SRAC. And finally, when it comes to the last SRAC, be in the proposal that when you are appearing for the last SRAC, that's the sixth SRAC, many places these are 5 SRACs, including synopsis, excluding synopsis 6, be very clear that what you are presenting shall be that my thesis is completed and my supervisor is also of the similar opinion. I am appearing for my pre-defense. This is how a timeline has to be set on. And when you are protect your writing time, have uninterrupted blocks. So when you are writing, switch off your mobile phones, do anything that you want, and do not have any sort of distractions. How to overcome it? Separate writing and editing. I'll tell you, as I said, that this was applicable in my chapter 1, this was in chapter 3, this was in chapter 4. Mention that. But do not start editing then and there itself. As I said, it is just like collective. You remember, how do we build a house? When we build a house, or when we are planning to build a house, we call for the cement, we call for the bricks, and everything is kept out there. And then you start constructing. You do not do it, okay, I'll get 1 bag of cement, I'll get 100 of bricks, and I'll start bringing, then I'll add more. No. You'll have to stock it first, and then start editing. You can't do writing and editing parallelly. Have a feedback. That's my very, very important thing again. When I talk about feedbacks, share draft frequently, both with your supervisors and with your peers. This is very important. The ideas, and please be open for the ideas that your peers are giving on. Third very important thing, writer's block solutions. That is free writing, location changes, discussions. Have this habit. I'll tell you today as well, the purpose of having your 2 paper presentations and 2 paper publications in relation to the topic of your thesis is excess of research. And so that when you go and present a paper in a conference, in a national or international conference, you get to meet your peers. You get to listen to their ideas, which ultimately helps you to bring on. So it is not like a random day 2 presentation, 2 publication has been put on. It is put for a purpose. The purpose is that whatever is the research domain of your own particular topic, you can take it up. And very importantly is take breaks. Don't take it on yourself. No, I'll only finish my PhD, then only I'll have something. No. Look, at the end of the day, be kind to yourself. Be very clear. A healthy mind, a healthy body can only help you to proceed ahead. Do not take it as a burden. Believe me, research is very, very easy. I do not know what perspective has been shown to you, but now when I have already navigated through the process, I'll tell you honestly, research is an easy process, but it is a consistent process. It is not like when you keep it for the last, it would be a heap out of food. If you take one day at a time, 2 days, divide in a week, I'm going to spend 20 hours for my research. And this is your 20 hours. It can be on a Saturday, Sunday. It is for you. You want a Sunday to be on an enjoying part? Enjoy it. Then divide, okay, 5 working days, Monday to Friday, 4 hours I will complete each day to my particular PhD work. 2 hours, 10 is fine. I'll just give you a number of 20 hours. It can be 10 for you. 10 hours in a week, 5 hours in a week. It all depends on that particular person, he or she, how that particular research is taken on. And this exactly, as I was telling, this is exactly the roadmap that I was talking about. What year 1, what year 2, what year 3. This is just in consonance to what I gave you here. The first year, the second year, and the third year. Similarly, if you like to see the first year, the second year, the third year, and finally your final phases there. Important, and I really want, I'll just conclude this as my last slide before I move ahead. How do I plan? So the tool for success that helped me, be smart. And now I'll tell you what I meant in my second slide when I was talking about an important component to you, that the things when I said that it needs to be a smart research question. Your entire PhD domain talks about SMART, where SMART stands for be specific. Specific as into the words, specific of your area. ऐसा नहीं है that I am taking IPR, trademark, everything in the world of trademark I'll do. No. You only have to limit to your topic under the trademark, which can be passing off, which can be online infringement, which can be one single 0.1% of the entire trademark. But if it is 0.1% of the trademark, do not focus on 99.9% then. The only specific thing for you there you'll have to concentrate, focus would be that 0.1%. Second, please take a topic which is measurable. Do not take an abstract topic which is like beyond everything. No. Third and very important is achievable. It's not only, as I said, proposal what I thought. And when I went for its implementation, I thought, oh, it's not achievable. Achievable in what? 3.5 years. Achievable. So yes, it can be 10-year program, 5-year program. No, you'll have to keep in mind the only time period that you have is 3.5 years. Start a reverse countdown for that. The topic that you are going to do is relevant. Relevant when? Not in 2025, in 2028 and 29, and post that. Last, but very, very, very important, I've been saying it. 3.5 years as I was dividing, time bound. My chapter 1 would be completed by this time, 2 by this time, 3 by this time. And if you'll see, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, take your own task. You're doing a non-doctoral study, a field study, it may take time. Dedicate 2 6 months progress there. But then manage the other projects or the other chapters needs to be completed in the next 2.5 years. And that data collection would take time, or data analysis and data collection both together would take time. Dedicate a 6 month cycle for that. That's an year. But then 2.5 years have to be taken for the other perspective. And this was the basic success mantra that has helped me. And I'm not preached in the entire last an hour or so anything that I have not practiced. So key takeaways, how do we write a proposal? moving towards a literature review, my writing process, and then persistence. My friends, my humble request is to have this persistence with you. Have that patience. Your thesis is not going to be completed in 2 years. Believe me for this. When a timeline has been given, everything comes with the time. But yes, it is your duty with your persistence, your discipline. It should not exceed 3.5 months. Your work should be completed within 3.5 months. 3.5 years. Sorry. And then it is with the university, it goes to the external. There, you might receive some remarks. Be prepared for it. Don't take a setback. Oh, my thesis has got remarks. It is for your own betterment that you've got a remark. Many times in SRACs, these things happen. I was remarking the candidate broke out. I did from all my hard work, and you are changing it now. Don't be that rigid to a particular point. You did it with your limited sense of research skills. The panel which is sitting has already crossed that particular mark. And nobody in this world is only there to harass you. No, nobody is there to trouble you. They all are your well wishers. So that tomorrow, when you're defending your own thesis for your job perspective, for your any perspective, you may have a clear view with it. With this, thank you so much, everyone, for being a patient listener. I stop out here. I'm opening the floor for questions if we have any.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Deevanshu. I request participant, please ask question if anything from your side. Raise one by one your hand. Okay, yes. Priyanshu, over to you, and then other one. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir,
I
for
request
this.
please. I request participant, please introduce yourself and then ask question. Over to you. Yes, Priyanshu.
Yes, thank you so much, sir, for this insightful session. It was a very great session for me. Sir, I am Priyanshu pursuing my master's from National Institute of Education Planning Administration, NEPA. And recently, as an integral part of my internship, I has been selected in RIS, Research and Information System for Developing Countries, as you know, sir. So Monday is my first day for the internship. I have been asked to propose a topic for my research work in RIS. So I was thinking about how can I narrow down my topic, because my bachelor's in law and my master's in education development. Like now the RIS wants from me that I gave a topic to him that is relevant to both, like AI regulation, education. So how shall I narrow down my topic in this context?
So I'll help you. I'll help you with this. First of all, you are going to join a legend, Professor Dr. Sachin Chaturvedi, sir. He was, and I am so fortunate that during my days of Bhopal, when as Kalpesh sir rightly mentioned in my introduction, I also founded a public policy school, the one of its kind in Central India. And we were working very closely with Atal Bihari Institute for Good Governance and Policy Analysis, the state government body. And I was very fortunate that alongside being the DG of RIS, Professor Sachin Chaturvedi sir was also the director of the AIGGPA, that is Atal Bihari Vajpayee Institute of Good Governance and Policy Analysis. Now, two things that I'd like to suggest you, Priyanshu. Number one, see the website of RIS. Also, see the past works that RIS has done. Number one. Number two, you have already been given a domain. For example, AI. Okay. So AI is an open ambit today. AI is affecting intellectual property rights as well. So this can also be one of an area, because you said that you are a graduate of law. You can relate any one portion of law for that matter as well. Like for example, AI, how it is affecting the intellectual property rights, or AI and copyright issues, AI and how as you presently saw, there was a huge trend going across with the Gilby caricature being drawn on. But do we feel that it was not affecting the privacy law? So AI and privacy law, the present PDP things across. One thing. Second, how, so you have one domain, which is your independent variable AI that you cannot change, but the dependent variable can be your area of choices. So few I have suggested, if that suits you, fine enough. Also, AI and employment. These are negatives that I was talking about. Positives, how AI is going to impact healthcare system, how AI is going to enhance the justice delivery system. You saw a very recent example of Mahakumbh happening at Prayagraj. It was also managed by AI, counting on the people, keep a watch, security purposes. AI and environment can also be one of an areas, but it all depends. Look, I'm just giving you domains. Couple of things, visit the website, see the past work of RIS, and also with AI, what are the new avenues or domains that can be available on that particular. So Priyanshu, I hope that answers your query.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question, this is from chat box.
Is we have in chat box, Miss
Yeah.
Leena has asked me a question that Leena ma'am has asked, can we use AI tools in research? The answer is yes. As I said during my presentation as well, AI tools can be used by the researcher, and I'll help you with, if Kalpesh sir permits me, if for your, as research scholars, there are some wonderful AI tools that will help you as a boon in your research, that would save time, specifically literature review. So I know the toughest time each of us do face for literature review. There is a wonderful app. There are many though, but few that I have tried is, and that has worked, is something called as Elicit. Now it's not illicit, it's Elicit. ELICIT. I'll use the chat box. And when I say Elicit, search it once. That's an app that helps you for a literature review. You just need to type the topic. It would give you 10 research literature review, 10 by 10 by 10, and that's the way you can advance. But again, I'm not saying, again, let me be very clear. When I say the usage of AI research tools is a tool, not a master. So don't just go copy and paste and, okay, my work for literature review is done. No, I am totally against it. You need to get, it's, look, what does the tools does for us. Yesterday there was a screwdriver in my times. Nowadays I saw something called as a magnetic screwdriver, and you know what's the help. Earlier when it was a screwdriver, I used to open the screw went away and I was in search for where the screw went. But the magnetic screwdriver helped the screw to take on that particular point. Sir, could you please suggest some research topics in media laws? There are many ethical issues. Legal journalism can be taken on to. Under the media laws, how the reasonability issue, abhi the present media trials, you saw how the OTT platforms and the digital platforms on media law is taking up to. I would also request, there is a wonderful book published by Kalpeshwar sir on media laws. Try reading that book and you'll get ideas from that particular book. Always remember, good readings would help you. I would appreciate sir is here, sir and entire team of law teachers group. Bring across on topics you search. They have, you name the topic, they might have a book on that. And these are compilations. The team is working rigorously hard to bring these things for you. So take that thing ahead as well. I want to do PhD in law on topic digital arrest, but my peer person saying as there is no law on digital arrest, so my topic may not be selected. What should I do in this situation? Look, Akshay, a very important thing I'd like to help you up with. Do not get this thing that there is no law. If that would have been the condition, believe me, all the PhDs on AI would be a zero. But there are PhDs happening on AI, blockchain, cryptos. The point which I'm trying to tell you, this is you as a lawyer. Akshay, you have done your master's in law. You have done your graduation in law. Now, when you're taking that particular step, you can relate digital arrest with privacy. Privacy is a very well topic under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Automatically, your problem gets solved. So it is not about how you are bringing it up. It is about how you are relating it. And that's what I'm saying. Go for an interdisciplinary research. It would always help you with many things. So digital arrest, and for that matter, Akshay, and through Akshay, I'm helping this to everyone. Open the website right now called as Shodh Ganga, a repository of all the PhDs in the country. And Akshay, to your knowledge, digital arrest has already been taken as a topic by various legal scholars in our country, including National University Delhi and LIU Bhopal, Barkatullah University Bhopal, and so on and so forth. GNLU again. I do not know, Akshay, which city you belong to. But also, my request to each one of you out here who is planning to do a PhD or is already on the verge, please visit libraries. And I'll tell you this one thing very honestly, 2015, my PhD days, I came to Delhi for some work. I requested the then director, Professor Dr. Manoj Kumar Sinha, sir, director ILI. Sir, I am a research scholar working on intellectual property rights. My topic is this. Can I please use the library? And believe me, allowing library was a very small thing. He also helped me with professors from IPR. Judges of Supreme Court in the evening come to the library of ILI. He also helped me with text and materials from that particular topic itself. So this is how academicians, and again, as I said, Kalpesh sir for that matter, me for that matter, the previous person who took this session on for you, and coming many people are all open to help research scholars. And I'll tell you today the secret also why we used to do this. Because when I was pursuing PhD, I was searching for this help from somebody and I was not able to. And the problem is not with the world. The problem was with me. I never approached people. Please do not make that mistake. And I'm so thankful that such sessions are being organized, not because I was invited. You can ask this with Kalpesh sir. Even the sessions that he organized, I participate as a participant. So it's not like I'm a senior professor. Why should I do this? Learning never stops. I learned this from my research scholars who are using different tools nowadays, which Kalpesh sir, we spent hours in analyzing our data. But today, this is possible just within an entry of a. So Google Forms, all data that was collected from Google Forms. I'll tell you, when I was collecting data, I had a physical copy of the questionnaire. Today, with Google Form collecting those particular data, with one click, I can download it in Excel file. That Excel file I can upload on SPSS or even for AI tools, and it will give me an analysis of it. Do that. Tools are for you. Don't let them become the masters for you. There's one more question where I'll say, sir, could you please suggest us some good books on which will help my current research topic, cybersecurity threats in financial transactions? And also, sir, kindly guide us with how to frame perfect research questions. Now, two things, Samishra ji, that I can help you with. Again, I would ask, please utilize the option at Shodh Ganga, where cybersecurity threats in financial transaction, which is not a complete topic as per my particular thing. You are still unclear what is the universe of your study. You're still unclear which all domains for financial transactions you are taking on to. Are you limiting yourself to negotiable instruments? Are you limiting yourself to the financial transactions or the cyber crimes that are happening towards the same? So you need to be very clear with that. Books on that matter can be both, depending on what your hypothesis and your research objectives are. So do we take that particular thing be taken on? I agree, Kalpesa. Just one point, I guess, with Priyanshu needs to unmute himself. Can you please unmute him? And we can take his to be the last one.
Yes, sir. I was not able to unmute my mic earlier, sir.
No
Sir,
worries. Please leave.
Sir, can I also talk in English as well, sir? If you permit. Sir, if you permit, sir, can I talk in
Yes,
Hindi
yes,
as well?
please. This
Yes,
last
sir,
question,
sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir. सर जैसे कि AI एजुकेशन एज ए टॉपिक, सो सर इसको हम लॉ से कैसे रिलेट कर सकते हैं? AI एजुकेशन AI
AI
एजुकेशन।
education.
या सर, सर ये
Okay.
एक ब्रॉडली टेक्निकल हो जाता है, या फिर इसको थोड़ा हम लॉ से कैसे रिलेट कर सके, बिकॉज इट्स अ इवॉल्विंग फील्ड ना। यस सर।
देखो, आप बहुत आसानी से इस दो तरीके से रिलेट कर सकते हो। एक, आपको पता होगा इंडिया में फॉर देयर आर NFSUs, द नेशनल फॉरेंसिक साइंस यूनिवर्सिटी.
यस
So
सर।
you have to limit yourself that how you are going to take it easily. Take it easily का मतलब कि एजुकेशन के कौन से डोमेन से रिलेट कर रहे हो, ठीक है? एक दूसरा, क्या आप एज अ स्किल बेस्ड एजुकेशन एआई को इंट्रोड्यूस करना चाहते हो स्पेसिफिकली रूरल एरियाज में? दिस इज अ गुड टॉपिक, प्रियांशु. यू कैन work on this, that AI tool as a skill based education specifically in rural India. No, I am unaware whether the research has on this point has been taken. Yeah, AI as a skill based education in itself, आप ले सकते हो ये चीज. So there are, how you're going to take that particular thing. Also, I'm sorry that I'm taking Kalpesh an extra time. There is one question by Prerna ji out here. Please do not go by this way कि सर आप किए हुए हो, आप प्लीज मुझे टॉपिक बता दो, या आप प्लीज मुझे कोई किताब बता दो. I'll tell you why I'm saying this. I can tell you with my limited thing. और जरूरी नहीं, देखो, this is not like you will start eating what I'm trying to tell you. आप मेरी पसंद से खाना नहीं खाओगे. मेरी बात से ऑफेंसिव या ये मत लीजिए कि मैं आंसर नहीं देना चाह रहा हूं. मैं बस आपको ये सजेस्ट करना चाह रहा हूं कि हो सकता हो, लाइक आईपीआर जब मैं पढ़ता हूं तो मैं अपने पर्सपेक्टिव से पढ़ता हूं, ठीक है? आप जब पढ़ोगे, टॉपिक आइडेंटिफाई करना ना एक बहुत पर्सनल टास्क होता है. When I say it's a personal task, what I mean, Prerna ji, is only a point where you want to know ki, okay, this has affected me, or this is something that I feel like this should be researched on. मैं आपको टॉपिक बता दूं, कल को पहली या दूसरी एसआरएसी के बाद आप बोलो यार सर ने जो टॉपिक बताया था मुझे मजा नहीं आ रहा, आपकी थीसिस अफेक्ट होगा, आपका टाइम लॉस होगा. प्लीज डोंट डू दैट, एंड इट्स नॉट फॉर मी ओनली. आप एक काम ये कर सकते हो, सर ये 3 टॉपिक है मेरे उसमें, आप बताइए इसमें से कौन सा अच्छा हो सकता है. दैट इज अ गुड ऑप्शन, बिकॉज वो तीनों टॉपिक फिर आपने ढूंढा. और ढूंढते कैसे हैं? ये नहीं गूगल खोला टॉपिक्स ऑन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल लॉ. नो, डोंट डू दैट. डू योर होमवर्क. एंड होमवर्क इज क्लियरली इस टॉपिक पे, ये टॉपिक मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है, इस पे थीसिस है, इस पे रिसर्च गैप क्या बचा है. अच्छा, ये रिसर्च गैप 2024 की पीएचडी सबमिट हुई है, ये रिसर्च गैप बचा हुआ है, कैन आई वर्क ऑन दिस टॉपिक? That is how you are going to identify it. So Prerna ji, do this exercise. You or others who are also wanting to take this up can take that thing ahead as well. Now, when you say constitutional amendments and the impact on the society, again, constitutional amendment हर domain का होता है, and not all the constitutional amendments are affecting the society. Please understand. So it can be a constitutional amendment bringing a change for right to religion, secularism या इस टाइप की चीज के लिए affect होगी society. But there are constitutional amendments which just brought a change. 15% से ज्यादा कैबिनेट का expansion नहीं हो सकता. Society नहीं affect हो रही उससे. So be very clear on how you are taking that thing ahead. Okay, so anyone who's asking for my contact, my mail ID was there at the last slide of the PPT, number one. Number two, I am there on LinkedIn. You can connect me there. My mail ID and everything is there. When you send me an email, I generally reply it within 24 to 48 hours. So that would be an easy way for me to take it up. And those of you who are in Delhi, LLE NCR can meet me. I'm the founding dean and professor at GL Bajaj Institute of Law, which is in Greater Noida. So you can meet me out there. I guess that would be all, and not take Kalpesh's more time. I know he has a parallel session. So sorry, sir, if I've exceeded the time.
No, 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 sure, sure. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Devanshu, for a great session, I would say, in detail. Participant request, we can see young, scholars are also there. Students, I remember, LLM students are also there. They want to join academics. So please, start read, I would say take the maximum advantage of this. And we rightly, you stated that we didn't have this kind of, mentor, how to. I remember when I prepared my research proposal, I sent to, I was working in IIM Ahmedabad. So the senior professor replied me, it's like, childish proposal. That was, I think, statement. ये बच्चों बच्चों वाला है. That was a statement he made because I was not first time in academics in IIM Ahmedabad. So that was the thing. But again, you learn things, right? Nothing like, immediately you start learning. Gradually you start, reading ABCD. You learn, and then you get to know how to. I was not able to write one, paragraph also. Let me tell you. So first time in academics. So that is the thing. But then you learn things, and then imbibe, start practicing, and then you get to know how to write down even research proposals, synopsis, anything, right? Article, blogs, anything, or report writing, or anything that, write up. So thank you very much, Dr. Devanshu, and then look forward to see you in future session programs also. This was again, well, small effort, I would say. I was sitting, and then it popped up my mind. I floated this thing, and then uh, things are happening, and then request participant get the maximum advantage. It is not a program, let me tell you, a certificate, you'll get certificate or anything, but that's idea is to help you out. That's it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks.